Hello, guys, and welcome to your market report this morning. I'm really glad to have you guys here. Now, listen, today is Monday, December 17th, 2018, and let's get right into the show. Let's open up the charts just a second. Okay, right here. And, even Kramer's into the act, He's saying to the Fed to repudiate your 2019 rate hike outlook, or stocks are going to go down. And yeah, they're not only are the Fed raising rates, but they're also drawing liquidity out of the system. The same liquidity they put in to push the stocks up in the first place. So, it's pretty much a no-brainer where this is going to go. But, there's a huge problem for the Fed. If they reverse now, quite seriously, what's going to happen is the entire system, yes, will start to turn around. Stocks could turn around and go back up again if they reverse monetary policy. But the dollar is going to start its process of dying if they reverse monetary policy. They know this. They're hanging on to their precious, just like that little guy Golem or whatever in Lord of the Rings. My precious, my precious. They're hanging on to their precious, which is the U.S. dollar. They're protecting the dollar. They have been all along, ever since they manipulated the gold and silver price, then later manipulating the oil price, still manipulating the oil price downward. It's all to protect the dollar. But you know what? Look, the story just broke. Breaking, Dow falls deeper into correction territory, down 150 points at the open. So it just opened just now, the Dow. Let's get right into this. Let's first start looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is started to a little bit of a move in the opposite direction this morning. This is looking at the long-term chart. You can see all the errors out of Bitcoin, pretty much. And what we're seeing is some big red candles this morning. Let's take green candles, sorry. Look at these big green candles this morning. Two great big giant ones, and it's taken us up to $3,402. All the coins are up. They're all going up right now. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations, and you see we're back up to $109 billion with 54.9% Bitcoin dominance. And we're seeing all these coins spiking up. Really look at Litecoin. It's really shooting to the moon this morning. It's up 8.78%. EOS is up over 10% today alone. Bitcoin's up 5%. And so we got a surge in the price of cryptocurrency right now. I'll tell you, I'm not sure it's going to last. I think Bitcoin could put in a bottom around 2,900 or something like that. I think as soon as we get a 2 on front of Bitcoin instead of a 3, 2,999, as soon as she cracks down and you see a 2 there, that's going to be a psychological thing. And I think we're going to find an awful lot of support. Because, it costs that much practically to mine a Bitcoin. Let's just take a look at the mining this morning, and we'll take a look at the Bitcoin mining difficulty and see what it's been doing. Well, you see it's been dropping off a lot. It seems to have stabilized just a little bit in the last day or so. The Bitcoin mining, what it takes to mine a Bitcoin. It really hasn't come down that much. But they're looking at a 9.71% drop in about 1.5 days from now in the mining difficulty. So that's going to make it 10% easier to mine a Bitcoin in 1.5 days from now. Okay? So, you get these guys out there who talk and say, okay, if the Bitcoin mining difficulty drops, that's going to be the end of Bitcoin. Well, the mining difficulty is going to determines how hard or how much money it costs for you to mine a Bitcoin. And when the Bitcoin price drops, so does the mining difficulty. So it makes it easier for the miners, so then it costs them less electricity to produce a Bitcoin. And so the miners, you don't need that many miners on the network to keep the Bitcoin network alive and happy and running. In fact, when they had these full schedule of miners on here, an awful lot of that hash power is just going into the system, and it's not really, it's just, they're just fighting, basically, they're fighting over a Bitcoin. Okay, so now let's take a look at silver today. We're looking at a silver price. It's moved up a little bit. It's up 9 cents over the day, which is not bad. We'll take it, But now let's take a look at gold. See what gold's doing. Gold is up $4. Gold's shooting up pretty good there. That's not bad. It's a better looking chart than the silver chart. If you take a look at gold, the green line is today, by the way. You can see she's shooting up pretty good. But take a look at silver. Silver's not quite keeping up. It's just kind of rattling along. We're going to have to see what happens later today. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not expecting any huge surges in price in silver right this moment, or gold. But these asset classes have been pushed down, and they don't want to go any lower. Seriously. When you get an asset class that's been pushed down for a long time, it's been drifting along at a low price, that's when it's getting ready for a big move to the upside. So that's what we got going on with gold and silver. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average right now. She's off 188 points right now. We get right in here, and we can see that she's almost down to the bottom she set back on March 19th of this year, It's getting almost down to that. It breaks below that bottom of 23,533. If it breaks down below that, which is only about another 500 or 600 points lower, we're going to be really getting the bear starting to become active in this. The Fed's going to have to turn around. Later this week, they're planning another stupid rate hike. Can you believe it? I think it's going to be their last. I'll tell you the truth. I think they're going to have to break down and quit this with this policy, this monetary policy. I think the stock market's going to start to break down. And that's what's going to make them have to shift gears. The big question mark in my mind is how far will the Fed go before they shift gears? How stubborn will they be? The more stubborn they are, the bigger the crisis is going to be. And they are going to be forced in the end to shift gears. The crisis is just going to get larger and larger until the Fed shifts gears. Now, they can shift gears early when the crisis is still small, right? And what will happen then is that's going to shift gears. The dollars are going to start to begin to die as soon as they shift gears. And they know it. They know it. Let's take a look at the oil price today. Sweet light crude, $51.25. You know what? Here we see it right here. It's just bottom bouncing. It's bottom bouncing all the way. It's went down to roughly 51.28. It's at 51.25 right now, and we've just seen it. It's just flatlining down here. It's went down to a certain price point, and it's not really going up or going down. So we're going to have to keep our eye on the oil price. The oil price is actually one of the most biggest indicators. I use copper. One of the things I use as an indicator is copper. I also use oil as an indicator. These are indicators of a recession coming right now. The fact that the oil price is down, copper prices have been going down, and these are indicators that the industry is not as active as it was. And a lot of this, I think, is attributed to China. I think there's a huge slowdown going on in China right now. I think it hasn't really made itself manifest to the point where the numbers aren't in yet. I think when the numbers come in, it's going to be disastrous. Anyway, let's take a look now at bonds and rates. And we see all the bonds yields are falling this morning, all the way across the board. We're looking at the U.S. 10-year, which is I consider to be the most important, is at 2.875. Now, even though these are falling, the 3-month LIBOR has been going up, and the 3-month LIBOR is debt is priced on the 3-month LIBOR, and it's been going up lately. I've been keeping a tight eye on that LIBOR along with this U.S. 10-year. Let's take a look now at the U.S. dollar index. 97.18. So we see the dollar is settled back down just a little bit in price. And this is probably because investors are starting to realize, hey, you know what? Investors are starting to realize that the Fed is starting to modify their monetary policy. And they know eventually this is going to affect the dollar. You know? And they always they always buy the rumor and stuff. And the thing is they're always in there a little bit ahead, investors. So the dollar's starting to fall off just a little bit. Eventually, the dollar's going to fall off a cliff. It's hard to actually fool these major investors. I mean, they're ahead of the curve a little bit oftentimes. And don't underestimate their ability to see through all the crud, Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this market report this morning. And we'll catch you again tomorrow. You guys have a really nice Christmas shopping. If you're out Christmas shopping, really enjoy yourselves. I don't know. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a hassle, you have to stand a long time in lines and stuff, and there's an awful lot of people out there at the shopping mall or whatever. It's just packed, It's kind of fun, though, getting out there and doing your Christmas shopping. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.